and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders, in green our Category 2, in blue Category 3 and Category 4 in red.
Just over a kilometre out the start pen, and Kolkowitz leading the group at the moment. Bassoni and Kalman are in there with Merle Bruni. They are all in the mix, and it's a very steady pace from the group coming out of the pen.
Category 1 at 7.7k covered. Category 2 at the moment have covered 11.1k, 13.9k for Category 3, and Category 4 at the moment 15.5 kilometres into the 35 kilometre route. The longer this goes on, the faster, more brutal and the more aggressive the last section is.
This is a huge pack of riders, 28 at last count, coming into the Hawk Hill climbs. And you know what? They are coming up towards the leaders on the race at the moment, which are still the Category 4 pack who were left to start pen first.
We have a leading group and we have a chasing tail to this Comet. As they come down, they re-enter the valley. As they come down, the groups are splitting, and this is a dangerous, dangerous moment. We have got the big 3 on the move. McCarthy, Fuhr and Bruni have time and time again been proving that they are the strongest at the moment. You can see McCarthy accelerating up here, matched to pedal stroke for pedal stroke by Catherine Fuhr, and Bruni's right on the wheels.
They are the current leaders on the road at the moment, as well as the leaders in the Category 3 race. The Category 2 leader, well, German Prado, has attacked the group, and she is indeed going clear at the moment, but she's not clear by a long way.
Hadlock's winding. Has Van Rossen gone too early? She's going to get caught here. Will she get caught on the line? It's going to be close. It's going to be Van Rossen who takes it from Hadlock. So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 3. It's the last of our qualifiers before we move to 2 finals. The Sunday Race Club final and the World Championship finals. I'm going to be bringing you the action, talking about all of the racing along with Emma Martin. Emma, how are you? You've had a very busy time.
Well, I've just realised, it's fabulous to be here to start with, but I've just realised it's race number 3 for October, and I've had 3 coffees this morning.
Is that a sign? Are our riders going to be going out like they've had too many espressos, too many Colombian coffee beans? Or are they going to be heading out like a weak, mellow, bland dishwater coffee?
Well, we are heading to the Paso Alto in Colombia today, 35 kilometres of racing, 537 metres of climbing. And, well, we love the first 21.9 kilometres of this course. Well, at least some of the racers tell me that they do, because it is flat other than the bridges. There are 4 sprints along the way: the Amazonian sprint, the Jungle Trek sprint, the Sandgill sprint and the Mompox City sprint. And then we head to the Medellin City climb. It's 5.5 kilometres with an average gradient just under 6%, and this is really where the race is defined, because then we roll in and through the transition section that covers the Amazonian rainforest sprint, and then the Bogota climb, 3.5 kilometres. It's only 2.9% average gradient, and we often see the groups stay together and never discount a sprint finish on this race.
Definitely not. That is always a likely occurrence, given that the groups that go over the first climb tend to stay together into the second through the FRB flat rolling bumpy, as named by Emma, into our second climb. Now, 4 race starts. Category 4 are our first starters. They're 5 minutes in front of the Category 3, who are 5 minutes in front of Category 2, 5 minutes in front of Category 1. We have got the Petite 4 squad in here. They're regulars: Nikki Lloyd and Simone Francis, riders from 12 nations, taken to the start line on our entry list today from all around the globe. We're going to run through our riders in a bit more detail in a moment, but at the moment, within the last 15 seconds, the nerves will be jangling. It's time to head out and commence our racing here on the Sunday Race Club for qualifier race number 3. We are good to go. It's time to hit the roads with Category 4. They're out and riding, heading on to the flatlands before we have that up hill finish, heading up the Paso Alto, the big climb here in the Colombian world on MyWhoosh. And already we're seeing lots of red chevrons on the right-hand side. That means that riders are kicking into their red zones, into zones 5 and 6. You can see on the top right-hand side of your screen the zones that the riders are going into. For anybody who's not a cycling coach or maybe au fait with those zones, basically 1 is falling asleep on your bike, and number 6 is when your eyeballs are about to pop out and your legs are going to explode.
Well, that's a very interesting way to describe training zones, but fairly correct. And we're currently in with Emma Sonnerson at the moment in this Category 4 race. And really interesting. You've got one rider just slightly distance off the back, and this is the point where you really just need to squeeze on and get into the group, because the draft of the group is so important. It really is going to help you out on this course. Warren, Alvarez, Bago, Barco, all at the front of that group where they need to be.
So let's explore the entry list and the riders that we've got here today. Katie Bago is in here. And let's kick off with Katie because she's on the front of the race. Katie Bago, a really strong rider who was actually out and training on a training session I think you were on.
Oh, she was. She joined us on Thursday evening UK time. On the MyWhoosh live coaching session that I do on a Thursday. Also one tomorrow on Monday. But Katie was indeed there. It was great to see her, actually. Not the first time she's joined me, but it's always lovely to see everybody on those coaching sessions.
And she's a rider who's really on form at the moment. So let's talk about form. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about those training sessions maybe a little bit later and what that involves. Riders on form, Isabel Alze, one of our regular riders on the Sunday Race Club, another rider who's really progressing. Is today a day for Isabel Alze?
Well, do you know, you never know who is going to come to the fore on the Paso Alto. Hannah Goodall took the win last week. Not that we were on the Paso Alto, we were in California last week, just to remind everybody. Simone Francis was second, Sonnerson third, Bago fourth, and Gaviria Arrayas was fifth. You know, Tejeros in this category is strong. Thompson, Barco, Narvaez, Kirchner, all strong riders. Warren, we've talked about. Sarasu, Tanglian is strong. Alcarbi, you know, we see some really strong riders in Category 4. The last time we were on the Paso Alto for the women, it was the August final.
Really? Is it that long ago?
Yes, and can I just say, in Category 4, the first 2 were only split by 7 seconds.
Which is on a 35-kilometre course. I mean, the overall race time will have been a fair distance, wouldn't it?
1 hour, 15 minutes.
To be separated by 7 seconds at that point, very close indeed. Now, we get a little bit of a snapshot in on our riders. This is a regular feature here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club coverage that you can subscribe to on the YouTube channel. Bottom left-hand side of your screen, our riders pop up. It is Cynthia Narvaez who is down there and currently just pedaling away. You can see the avatar on the main screen, and you can see Narvaez Hoyos on the left-hand side of your screen spinning those pedals around.
Interesting choice to wear gloves indoors.
Yes,
I have to say,
no.
I do it, but normally in the winter when you still want the fan on you, but it's a little chilly in the garage in the UK.
But there's also a couple of other reasons. One is that, it can be that if you're in a different position, or the bike is moved so differently that you're not got that, so you've not built up that strength or the hardness of the skin in the hands, and also because you don't want to slip if you're going to be sprinting on there and you're going to be throwing the bike around. Will our Gear Goddesses be throwing the bike around in Category 3? They're our team. They have 4 riders on the start list. We have Lopez, De Grazia, Van Rossum, and Tonkinson racing. We've got Grind My Gear Squad, Hadlock, Takova, and Howeiler. 3 riders in their squads. 13 nations represented on our start list. Team Golden Light, one of the teams, but we will see whether or not Golden Light can make that count here today. We're into our countdown. We have a huge cast of riders here, Emma, and Category 3 starting 5 minutes behind Category 4. We've got somebody to chase. They've got Category 2 5 minutes behind them. They're going to be chasing them. Time to see if Category 3 can stay clear of the chasers. Will they be the riders at the front when we get to the top of the Paso Alto? Time will tell.
Well, 32 riders on the start sheets in Category 3 at the moment. You can see the pack just rolling out of the pen there. Simkin, De Gracia, Schultz, Wilhelm, Bonilla, all in the mix here. Jones is here. You know, she progressed from Category 4 into Category 3, part and parcel of the pack. Barragan is in here. Now, in terms of who took the win last week, it was Van Rossum from Hadlock, then Simkin, Tokova and Vasquez. But there are some really strong riders in here. Chudzekowicz is in here, Hamilton, Wood, Beltran, Idzik is here, Rebecca Johnson, you know, really goes well on a final climb. So I really wouldn't discount her on the Paso Alto.
And has Johnson taken a win so far in the Sunday race club that you can remember?
Oh,
I'm saying that because I can't remember that she's taken, and so many top fives. You know, my counting skills are not good enough. I don't have enough fingers and toes for that. However, has she taken that win? I don't know.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, and Rebecca, please excuse me if I am incorrect, I'm not sure she has.
That would be really good.
She has definitely had multiple top fives. I am just taking a little bit of a flick through, but Gina De Gracia is the rider on our screen at the moment.
And Gina De Gracia, one of our really strong, one of our really regular riders, one of our Philippine riders here, racing in Category 3. And Gina De Gracia, a regular racer, a regular rider that we get to see racing in real life on the screens here, the actual person and the avatar. And I think it's always interesting to see what people look like at the start of the race and then what they look like later on in the race. And Gina De Gracia, Gina, forgive me if this doesn't come across as it should. Gina is one of those riders who really tries, and you can see when she's going for it. And I think that's really good. I love riders who are not just poker face from start to finish and don't show their effort. I love riders that are expressive and actually show how hard they're working.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I am incorrect. I have just found back in February on the Paso Alto, Johnson took the win in 1 hour, 14 minutes, 38 seconds.
So that almost proves what you're saying, in that this is a course that suits Johnson. It's a course that could suit it up to the top. What about Gina De Gracia? Here you go. On your way past, now that you've just finished scrolling through your entire result sets for I don't know how long, Gina De Gracia.
Well, you're going to have to start talking and give me 2 minutes.
Okay, so 2 minutes of talking starts now. Well, welcome to Sunday Race Club. If you're just joining us, this is Category 3 that are out and away. They settle 5 minutes behind Category 4. If you are new to the Sunday Race Club, this is the premium event on the MyWhoosh platform. Week in, week out, our riders racing each other. So we have our qualifiers to kick off the start of the racing. So that's weeks 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes we even get 4 qualifying events because the last Sunday of the month, and sometimes there are 5 Sundays in a month, is our finals. In the finals, our riders aren't just racing for individual prizes, but they're also racing for the team prize as well. Teams made up of between 3 and 5 riders, 3 riders times to count, and the prize money is substantial. We will bring you details of that a little bit later on in the show, I'm sure. The riders are set off in separate groups on the qualifiers and in the finals, with Category 4 going first, Category 1 going last. Between each of the categories in the women's races, there are 5 minutes between each group as they're set off in Category 4, 3, 2, and 1. The riders all competing for those prizes. So Category 4 away, Category 3 are down the road as well. 5K and 2.5 kilometres covered for Categories 4 and 3. On the start line waiting to go are Category 2. Category 2, well, the Sunday crew captained by Ulrika Harmsen. Again, good to see Ulrika from South Africa captaining that squad. We have 12 nations represented here: South Africa, Colombia, Denmark, Philippines, Sweden, Germany, Australia, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong. We also have Italy, Lithuania in here, a real mix of nations from around the globe. Which of those nations will come out on top here in our last qualifier before the Sunday Race Club finals next Sunday, which we'll be bringing you? Which of the nations will be on top on Saturday? Make sure you're watching the UCI 2024 Cycling Esports World Championship powered by MyWhoosh. Our riders are away. Angelica Altamirano out and racing. A rider who qualified to go from the public qualifiers into the semi-finals and raced in those World's semi-finals. Great racing. It was great to see so many of the riders who are maybe not necessarily category one, but had targeted their racing and showed what they could do on a big stage.
Oh, yes. And, one of the things I think is really interesting about those open qualifiers and the semi-finals was that riders that perhaps the long climbing sections of the Sunday Race Club don't necessarily suit as well as the short, sharp, punchy nature of those courses for the open qualifiers and the semi-finals really came to the fore. And, the mix of the Sunday Race Club courses, so for example when we go to Belgium, when we go to some of the more punchier, shorter climbing courses, we do see different riders come to the fore, and Sophie Giovanni is on our screens at the moment. You can see the concentration required to come out of the start pen and ensure you are in that leading group.
And already we have one rider being which is not Sophie Giovanni behind us, Sophie. Good to see Sophie Giovanni on here, a rider who, along with her Italian countrywoman, Serena Vittori, surely have got to be right up in the hot favourites for this race. But it's so hard to pick a rider in this category because pretty much if we would say, Emma, read me the list of riders who could take the win here or be a podium position here today, you just read the whole list.
I would, but I am going to pull out Gabriella Norden because she has had some time away from the Sunday Race Club and some time off the bike, but she's back on the bike. She's back in the Sunday Race Club, and she was back last week. And what a way to come back straight in with a third place in California last week. So great to see her back in the mix, and we're on with her at the moment. So welcome back to the Sunday Race Club. Welcome back to the podium, the top five. But we've also got Bergin, Davidson, Giovanni, Vittori, Prado, Jaramillo, Svardström. This is such a strong field. Getting a top five in this class of category is no mean feat.
No, not at all. I noticed that we've got Bridget Filensky in the mix. She rode really...
Another new rider
who rode really strongly last week, really taking on the racing. Lam Kong is in here. Lam Kong has the distinction, I think, of having the most podium or top five positions of any rider on the Sunday Race Club. In men's or women's, she's the rider who's had the most podiums ever, I think, if my memory serves me correctly.
Up until the point that I did those stats.
Which was about 3 months ago?
Yeah.
So, I actually think
those stats did change the following week.
They did. That is the nature of having a race every week, funnily enough. However, at Lancome, I think her lead was big enough. And I think the other thing is that no one's been dominant enough behind necessarily to move close enough. I tell you what, when we get to the new year, let's have a 2024 roundup of the riders who in 2024 have been on the podium the most.
We can do that.
We can indeed.
Is that how you'd like to finish the year or how you'd like to start the year?
Let me think on that one.
Okay.
I'd like to do both and just be here. That'd be quite nice. That would be very nice indeed. Just to be able to be slightly compass mentis as we go in from one to the other is always a bonus because you've got to stay sharp when you are watching the Sunday Race Club because we've got some quality riders in action. Now, Julia Walkenhurst is one of those quality riders. You can see there pedaling. Always great. What I really like is people's camera positions. Now, I'm going to show my TV geekiness here. That is a great shot of Julia Walkenhurst on the bike from a slightly different angle. It shows the riding style, and it shows you how they're racing. And I absolutely love that. I wonder whether our Category 1 riders are going to be able to show us anything different. We'll see. Right, into Category 1, because they're about to take to race start. Ablock International, 3 riders, Hermansen, Holcroft and Soderstrom on the start list. Effetto Skier, 3 riders, Guerra, Kalman and Bassoni on the start list. The Sweat Sensations, guess what? They've got 3 riders too. And that's Velt, Fua and Bruni. 12 nations represented in a compact and bijou race field. on our start list here today. They are the top of the tree. They are the elite category. They are the very, very finest of fine. Will they be the riders who can take it to the finish in that full HD definition you're seeing on your screens at the moment? Well, it's time to find out. Category 1 away on the Sunday Race Club. Qualifier race number 3. 35 kilometers to cover in distance, 537 meters of elevation to climb, 5 sprints, 2 climbs on the way through. And of course, you've got to be in contention all the way through. I'm going to be the first to quote today that when you get to the top of that Medellin City climb, you've got to treat the summit as your race finish. Got it in before Emma. Well done, Matt. And of course, remember, the climbs and the sprints, although they affect the racing because they do cause trigger points. Sometimes people will sprint for them and that will then generate some movement within the bunch. Could be that the climb is instrumental because that is where we're going to see a split or a break in the group. They don't count for the overall or for the prize list. So really interesting snapshots, and we will be bringing you a lot of those stats on the way through, particularly through the sprints here, because we've got 21.9 Ks of almost flat. It looks flat on the course profile that you saw earlier. Do not be fooled. That is in part because the Medellin City climb and the Bogota climb and the ascent all comes really the majority at the end. But on the way through, we have a number of bridges and we have a raised platform, a raised wooden roadway that goes through. And those actually can be used to take people out of the back of the group because all of this group have come out together.
Well, and they are bridges, but they rise over the river, they drop on the other side, and they are short and sharp. They are really, really instrumental in this race. And you often look at the profile, and I say, well, we often say in the studio, never make assumptions when you look at a profile because it's often wrong. But you look at that first 21.9 kilometers, you go, well, there's nothing in there to break up the racing. Oh boy, you are wrong, because those bridges, short and sharp, and they come in succession, and they really do stretch the group if the group utilize them to break the group and for, I'm going to say, attrition purposes, because normally what takes place is the back of the group start dropping off rather than the front of the group go away. And that is really interesting. So if you're going in with a big group, those bridges are really useful in this race to start whittling the group down before you come into that Medellin City climb.
I'm just going to put my mic back into place. I was just taking some pre-race action fueling on board. Whittling is an English phrase for knocking chips off a piece of wood to create a finished article, and that is what the phrase that we use to knock riders out of the group to give you a finished group that you're happy with. Will Celine Colombi be doing that beforehand? I very much doubt it.
She is the finished article though, because she's a great climber, and this course really should suit her. Colombi third last week in California. First place went to Mary-Kate McCarthy, second to Merle Bruni, Celine Colombi third, Catherine Fua was fourth, and Gabby Guerra fifth. It was a really, really good race. Last time we were on the Paso Alto, as I said, it was the August final. That was McCarthy from Fua, Bruni, Menendez and Kolchinsky. Menendez and Kolchinsky not on the start sheets today, so it's going to be a really interesting race.
And talking of those start sheets, the start sheets today cover a lot of riders. We've got 19 riders in there, and we've got some really strong riders who can be in contention at the end of this. We've got some new riders, some old riders, some experienced riders, some new riders to do this. But we have to view it in context, because this is the last Sunday Race Club before we go to the World Championship finals on Saturday. And by we, I mean the racing community.
Yes.
And particularly our riders. Now, on our start sheets, really interesting. If we run through the 20 riders who have qualified, Lou Bates, who is qualified, she's the first rider on the list. Lou Bates, not here on our start sheets. Catherine Fua, Kate McCarthy, Merle Bruni, Gabby Guerra, Maria Holcroft, Mika Soderstrom are.
I don't think they're all in the race, though.
Kristen Kolchinsky, Hao Zhang, Marlene Bjarhead, Jackie Godby, Emma Belfast aren't. Kelsey Van Shaw is. Alexi Snover isn't. Cornelia Engstrom is. Pia Kuma isn't. Johanna Tidholm is. Julie of Dryhoven isn't. Lisa Hermansen is. And Tiffany Penner isn't. They're your 20 riders. Now, the reason I did that in that order is because that's the order that they qualified. Lou Bates qualified in the highest position from those semi-finals. Now, Emma, shed some light on why we're seeing some of our riders competing. Some of our riders maybe not racing to the finish line necessarily of the Sunday race clubs in the last few weeks, and maybe today, and maybe just riding through to the finish, but putting in specific efforts. And some riders just not here at all.
Well, a number of things. Working with Catherine Furr at the moment, and you can see her on the bike riding here. You can see her on your screen as well. Phenomenal rider, phenomenal racer, right at the top of her game. But in terms of who's here, who's not here, it's all about what their plans are and what their targets are and what their training is in terms of that World Championship final. And they'll be making decisions. They'll be also making decisions about whether they have qualifying races in for the final, whether they're going to race a Sunday Race Club final or not the day after the World Championships. That is going to be interesting. But that is what it is. It's all about the phasing of their training. Some riders will like to race quite strongly into a target race. They will go well off of hard training. Other riders will want to taper well into that race. It depends on the individual rider and what works for them.
And they can sometimes combine that. We're just seeing Category 2 go up and over one of our bridges onto this pavé cobbled stone road section. And that kick, that rise, that short acceleration might be what the riders want. Now, it's mostly affecting Category 1. Category 2, 3, and 4 really aren't affected by this, because if you are good to get into the Worlds, almost by default, your performance to take you to the Worlds will put you into Category 1. Emma's nodding, which is really useful on an audio commentary. Well done, Emma. That's like the first time I think you've ever done that in the studio.
Well, I thought you'd made the point fine. I didn't think I needed to come in there.
So, Category 1 more affected than Category 2, 3, or 4.
Yes.
All 4 categories up and away. And we will be bringing you the Sunday Race Club, but it's not just all about the World Championships next weekend, because we've got some amazing riders racing in all of our race categories on the Sunday Race Club. That's one of the great things about the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We cover all 4 categories. We try and show you as many riders as we can, as many race finishes as we can within the constraints of literally having 4 sets of riders on the course at the same time. And quite often, I don't know how the team behind the scenes do it, jump in between each of our 4 race categories and the action that can be spread across a number of kilometres.
Yeah, and that team behind the scenes, absolutely phenomenal. It's not just the riders and the racers, it's not just the commentary team, it's those in that production unit as well, putting this together, pulling this together and giving you what you see on the screens. Well, Roberta Bassoni is what we see on our screen at the moment. That's the rider in the corner. She's the rider in the pack. Strong rider, and part and parcel of this group at the moment, leading this Category 1 pack. It's been a fairly steady start, I would say. Bassoni, Bruni, Velt, Eck, Van Hove, Columbi, all towards the front of that group as they hit the next wooden bridge. And you'll see here on the top right-hand corner of your screen, it's 6%, 6.4, 6.7%, 6.8. We said they were short. We said they were sharp. We said they were steep. And we said they were useful for spreading the group. And you can already see the group being spread here. It's going to come back together again. We're not going to lose anybody off of this Category 1 pack. And what I was going to say before we hit the bridge was this has been a fairly steady start for this Category 1 pack. And we saw that last week in California as well. The racing in Category 1 was different to the racing in the other categories. And I think that is part and parcel of the fact that a number of these riders are prepping for the Worlds and they don't necessarily want to go from the gun.
Yeah, and one rider who I think will be looking for short explosive efforts is somebody who really has improved. Gabby Guerra, that we just had on our screens. She's a rider who's got a big kick, a big sprint on her, but has also been training to extend that sprint almost. Riders like Mary Kate McCarthy, in some ways, has been a really strong, longer climb rider who's almost had to compress that effort down. Really interesting to see how they're riding. Now, interesting to see how these riders take on this course. Just see a little bit of a breakaway going here. Now, Ulrika Harmsen at the moment as the Sunday crew is away from the self-proclaimed Queen of Yorkshire in the UK. That is Holly Bergin. One day Holly will tell me where that name came from, but I'm not going to say where my nickname came from on the way through, no matter what, pretty much. Bergin at the moment in the lead, and Bergin actually was watching you yesterday because you were on a podcast, well, TV type podcast.
Yeah, it was indeed. That's what I spent my Saturday evening doing.
What was it?
In the Drops.
In the Drops, and where can people find it?
You can find it in the Drops podcast on YouTube.
And
it was great fun. It was. We were on there a long time. I think the show was about an hour and 40 minutes.
That would, in theory, be longer than most people's race today out on the course. Do give it a watch. I did watch it. I'm going to have to admit to that. And I found it very entertaining. There's a lot of really interesting MyWhoosh content in there as well. Things like talking about the Sunday Race Club and the riders involved. And I noticed you had been drawn. They were trying to get a prediction out of you there.
No predictions.
And then no predictions. I think realistically, it's so difficult, isn't it? I mean, Catherine Fua, a lot of people would have said, was their favourite coming into the finals, semi-finals. But you know what? It's completely changed because of how people have been riding and the improvements. I think nobody can make a prediction now. And if anybody's got a favourite, it's based on personal allegiances rather than race performances. I'll tell you one rider, though, who is amazingly good at today, Gina Di Grazia. Look at that.
Yeah,
Category 3 rider, 18-second sprint through. The Gear Goddesses rider there doing a brilliant job. She's put to bed everybody else, including Category 1.
Well, she has indeed. And Sidlek Ek, Vilensky, Van Shaw, Kolkowitz, Hermansen, Bonilla, Guerra and McCarthy. Category 2, Category 3 and Category 1, all mixing it up in the top 10 through the Amazonian sprint. And Gina Di Grazia, I know you asked me about her earlier on.
Yes.
I can tell you that this year she's not won the category, but she did finish 4th overall in the GCC Championships on MyWhoosh.
Indeed, the Gulf Corporation Council's Championships, which was basically a stage race with multiple stages, 5 stages, great competition. If you want to watch, I mean, I'll make no secret of the fact that I absolutely love bike racing, full stop.
Oh, stage races, though.
But stage races are something else again. And because you get that accumulation of riding and racing, it was great to see Gina Di Grazia out there racing on the race and really performing, and how riders go well on certain stages, different types of terrains, day after day racing. And to some degree, that's why the Sunday Race Club is great, because week in, week out, we get to put words to the action and see these great athletes, these great riders in action. And that's all categories, because it's not just about Category 1. It's not about those elite riders. It's about the whole of the cycling community. There's some really great communities and great riding. Some people riding and racing who really support each other. I mean, for example, Gina Di Grazia, Angelica Marino, the people who are riding at Hadlock, who ride quite often in the same room. That's really good to see. And they might be spread across different categories, but they are out there supporting each other.
And we do see that. We see that as well, don't we? You know, and we have riders when we go into their pain caves. Sometimes it's just the one. Sometimes you can make out that there's somebody else there, and that may be a supporter, or that may be another rider and racer. And it's always really interesting to see. You don't have to ride alone. You can be on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. You can be in the pack, but perhaps you've got somebody in your pain cave with you, and you've invited your friend over to set their turbo up next to you, and that is all part and parcel of the fun.
So time for another snapshot in a window in the world of Sunday Race Club, because we're going to dive in, because we are on at the moment the Jungle Trek Sprint. This is the 200 meters from 8.3 to 8.5 kilometers. There's basically no elevation gauge. It's just a straight run through. You can see the entire pack running through. You can see them on your screen. On the center, that's the avatars, each one representing their rider. The discs on the left-hand side represent the riders as well. And going through, you can see they went through as a pack. But going through as a pack, faster, the whole of Category 2. Rolling off Filensky, Bergin, Harmsen, Giannatti, Svarson, Davidson, Gonzalez, Ruhr, Paulson, Bonilla and Prado, a who's who.
Yeah, it is indeed, of Category 2. And really great to see. I tell you, Bridget Falensky, who came into the Sunday Race Car very, very recently, she's a good rider. And it's really great to see. And one of the things I really do love is week in, week out, when the new riders join us and then they come back for a second go. They've not been put off first time and they really just love mixing it up. And it's great to see that. So welcome, Falensky. It was great to see you last week. It's brilliant to see you this week. And it's great to see you at the top of the leaderboard on the Jungle Trek Sprint. Well, Falensky, Norden, Gonzalez, Rua and Vittori all comfortably in the mix as we take a look. And back in Category 1, we're on a bridge. And it's Mika Soderstrom pushing on the front. You know, she's got such a phenomenal kick, such a phenomenal pace on her. Guerra closing it down because she doesn't want to let her go. But interesting to see. That's the first real move we've seen in Category 1, coming at 9.5 kilometres into this 35-kilometre race. Soderstrom pushing on, Guerra shutting it down, McCarthy coming through to Van Shaw, Bassoni, Engstrom, all on the wheels. And this is a real fine line here between closing down the gaps, ensuring you do enough to stay in the pack, but perhaps keeping your powder dry at the moment because we're not quite 10 kilometres in. And you know that the climbing is all in the back end of this race.
It is. And it's easy to look at that profile and go, all the climbers at the end, Category 1 are going to be cynical. We're going to see them attack at the end. It's all going to go there. But you still got to stay in this group. And the speed that the riders are doing through here, they are not hanging around. We're talking 40-plus kilometres an hour. And whilst we're seeing maybe a slower pace through the sprint sections, overall it can be quicker.
It can be. And do you know what one of the really interesting things is? I was just sat here thinking, do you know, if this was next week and we were in the final, we would be seeing very different dynamics here, because in the final, we have the team competition as well as the individual competition, as well as we just take a little look in with Roberta Bassoni. And you can see how well she's performed in Colombia before. She has been on the podium twice, just outside that third time. So really interesting to see. You know, you've got to keep an eye on her. She's a great climber as well. Now, what I was going to say was, in the final, when we're here, the team dynamics changed the racing. Individual racing in the qualifiers, teams come into play in the finals. 5 riders, between 3 and 5 in each team. And quite often what we'll do and what we'll see on the Paso Alto is teams using riders on these bridges to really push the pace and put in attacks to start to tire the field. Now, because we're not in the final at the moment, that's left to the individual riders. And at the moment, I think Category 1 are lining this up and keeping their eye on the ball for that Medellin City climb. Well, Category 4 on the right-hand side of the screen with the first race field out of the start pens today. And you can see they're 7.5 kilometres further down the race route from Category 1 on the left. It's a strong group and a big group still at the front of the race, but it is looking like they are going to be the first race field onto that Medellin City climb at 21.9 kilometres. There's still a little way to go. Now, the green jersey in that Category 4 pack, Matt, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, my brain was completely somewhere else whilst I was waiting you to finish there, and now I'm going to try and disengage my brain and re-engage it. Always difficult. It's almost as bad as our riders having to go. So going into Jacqueline Kirchner, green, the sprint skin suits. We did, or I alluded to the fact that they're not there in terms of the overall competition. Now, that competition, basically, it's a points competition in the sprint and in the climbs. Points awarded from the sprint, from the climbs. The culmination of those points at the end will give us our final jersey wearers, our final skin suit wearers in the green for sprints, in the polka dot for the climbs. And on the way through, whoever is wearing that, they are the current leader in the house. Now, as we make our way through, we're at 19.1k. So we're heading into the climb. Jacqueline Kirchner has got the sprint skin suit, that green skin suit, after the first 4. Now, she's going to go into the Amazon rainforest sprint. Will she be able to hold that as she goes in through? You can see Jacqueline Kirchner's stats on the side there. And definitely going to be interesting to see how she does in here. Jacqueline Kirchner is a good sprinter as well, an all-round rider, a rider who has held the jersey before. I mean, she has had, I think, her best position has been a 3rd overall
In Belgium.
in Belgium. Not the same course, but then look behind. Hafit, Passo Alto, big climbs. Bruges is like the Belgian course is very similar, I think, to in some ways the Alula Heritage Climb course, in that it's not a big monster climb to finish. It's the climbs midway. So very interesting to see how she's racing and how she deals with it today. It's going to be necessary, I think, for her to hold fire and stay with the lead group, and then try and make the most of the FRB, the flat rolling bumpy section, into that final climb.
Well, 13 riders still in this leading group in Category 4. It's a big pack rolling as we come to the 20-kilometre mark on the right-hand side of your screen. Now you can see at 18.1 kilometres, that's where the leading group in Category 3 are, and that is a bigger pack again. Well, Gina Di Grazia is leading that group in. She's also in the green skin suit, but the green skin suit signifying the sprint leader in Category 3. As you can see her, look at that, there she goes. That is the start of the Monpok City Sprint, and Gina Di Grazia along with Bonilla have pushed on here. 13 watts per kilo from Bonilla. That was a massive kick.
It was a big kick, not enough though to displace Gina Di Grazia. So far to date, according to the records, 14 sprint wins at the end. So she's amassed those points at the end of the race to take away 14 jerseys on the Sunday Race Club. That's out of what is just shy of 90 races.
Well, I can tell you 17 riders in that leading group in Category 3. So coming up for the 20-kilometre mark, the leading group in Category 4, 13 riders in that leading group. In Category 3, 17 riders. And now Gina Di Grazia is pushing on here. Well, I say that she's now just come off the pace because Barragan is on the front of the chasing pack. The gap between the two who went through that sprint around 4 seconds. The pack are going to close that down now.
They will close that down. And meanwhile, back in Category 2, looks like the Category 2, I think, is the twitchy category. It's a category where we see the most, I think, speculative moves, particularly on a course like this. You've seen Ulrika Hamzen, Ursula Cassani, Gabrielle Nording quickly making it up, Gonzalez Ruiz. These are all riders who we know are going to go on the attack. We know that they're going to try and mix this up. Some again, they're riders who will take the opportunity. If there's a sprint, if there's a kick out, somebody might put an attack. If somebody just eases off the back and goes snowballing through, they might then use that move as a springboard to break the group up and try and bring it down. I think in part because Category 2 is just so close. It's probably...
Yeah, the strength and depth is superb.
It's the closest category. And by that, I mean the closest in terms of racing, all-round racing ability. However you want to sum that up, whether you want to use metrics like power or whether you want to use sort of overall feel, which is what I'm going on. So this is totally speculative on my part. But for me, they feel the closest race group.
Well, looking when you look at the start sheets in Category 2, and I have said this before, you can look down the start sheet and you can go, well, near enough every one of those riders could make the top 5 today.
Yeah.
It just depends on what point of the year, who's on form on the day, and what else is going on. But at the moment, what's going on is we're seeing a rider push off the front yet again, and it's Holly Bergin. So Bergin pushing on the front of this Category 2 pack, Nordin the rider, realising what is going on. And quite often, the group's coming together as we're bringing back an attack, and fabulous timing to go straight over the top and to go for another effort, taking through the sprint section here at the moment. This is the Monpok City Sprint. Now, the riders are chasing the Category 3 group because I tell you, it's not long since we saw Category 3 go through here. So the Category 2 pack really motoring today. Bergin, interesting. It's Valensky that is following, with Svanström, Poulsen and Giovanni. But Bergen's going to be the first rider to go through the end of that Monpok City Sprint in Category 2. It's Category 4, well, that's a polka dot banner.
It is start of the climb for the Category 4 riders. Bergin finishes off that sprint effort, just spins the legs back down. Bergin, a rider who took a win in Category 3 before she moved up to Category 2. 21 Sunday race. It's not all that long ago. We were talking about being a new rider on the platform now. One of our experienced riders is Category 4. Go on to the climb. I'm sure we'll see some of our riders in Category 4 work their way through Category 3 and into Category 2, as we've seen Bergin work her way up there. At the moment, though, you can see that it's Ferron on the front, tapping out a rhythm, but we've got Bago right in the mix here. Arias in there, Alze in there, Warren is in there. This is going to be tough stuff here today because this is a big group. You don't want to get distance too soon, but we are starting to see our Category 4 sprint leader get distance from the back of that group as into the sprint, into that San Gil sprint inside the caves, the subterranean sprint. Go Category 1. Roberta Bassoni tucked in here. I can't imagine Bassoni going for this. Her wins in the Sunday race. So coming on, her last win on the Sunday race. So coming on the Jebel Hafit on the long climb to the finish. Is that going to be an indicator that she is going to be in the mix when we get to the top of the climb? Well, she's a rider who will be wanting to use and really race those strengths of climbing rather than necessarily being a rider who is going to look to push through. You can see this group not accelerating up through that sprint, and that means that when the sprint results come, as if by magic, guess what? There isn't a yellow jersey in sight. It's Valensky at the moment leading through, but look at the time gap. It is basically 1 second. 1.105 separates first to 10th. That is nothing because that is with such a big group. If you were at the front of the group going into the sprint and at the back of the group coming out of it, you'd lose more than a second because the group is that big. So the group together, that is just movement in the pack that has given you those sprint times. Valensky, Kasani, Nordin, Arberg, Walkenhurst, Gonzalez, Ruhr, Paulson, Gianatti, Bergin, and Embry, your top 10 in Category 2. Category 1 on their way and looking pretty strong. We're going to jump in with Category 2 though at the moment because we're in with 4 key riders here: Bonilla, Gonzalez, Ruhr, Prado, and Kasani at the moment on your screens. Looking sort of different looks there. Gonzalez Ruhr looking focused and tapping along as ever. I mean, that's that 1,000-yard stare, isn't it? This is a rider who's really on the race. Jeremy Prado and Kim Bonilla here looking a bit more chilled, if I'm, brutally honest. Looking quite happy. It was almost a smile there from Jeremy Prado there. And she got out of the side, just like, yeah, do you know what? I'm just going to tap this rhythm around. I'm quite comfy. Ursula Kasani looking focused, just dialing in there. Maybe having a bit of communication with some of the riders because there is always tactics going on, isn't there? There's always communication that we can't pick up, as there would be in any race, between riders who are going to work together, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely, and there is nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
Whether though I'm not quite sure how you actually write a text message, and I've seen Mikhail Kaminsky do that. Actually, pick up his phone, write a message to a teammate on a final, and then put his phone back down again. I'm not quite sure how he does that and kick out like 4 watts per kilo or whatever it is he's kicking out at the time. Much more for utilising something in terms of a chat function, in terms of Discord maybe or something like that. And we do indeed see the riders communicating in all sorts of ways. Takova now in Category 3. Category 3 at 22.4 kilometres. They are on the Medellin City climb. It was a big pack going in of 17 riders, and we can start to see the riders off the back of that group. But Takova is not one of them, and you can see the level of concentration on her face, the level of effort, the cadence at the moment. 95 revs per minute. Strong cadence from Nikola Takova at the moment as she continues to push. She's right in the mix on the climb. Daniels, Ellos, Johnson, Takova really here starting to catch the Category 4 riders and pass them. Just a reminder, those Category 4 riders did indeed start 5 minutes before Category 3. The Category 3 pack now charging up the climb. And if you take a look on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, well, Rebecca Johnson is there now. Another rider, great cadence, great climber, really concentrating here. But you can see the fan going because take a look at that lampshade swinging, cooling down and keeping that core temperature low. Really crucial. But on the bottom left-hand corner of the main screen, you can see the stretch on that Category 3 group now and the passing of those Category 4 riders.
So category 3, well on to the climb here. The group starting to spread out. Johnson on the way up, a strong rider. 2 wins in the Sunday Race Club. Takova with 3 wins in the Sunday Race Club, but Takova's last win a little while ago. Don't forget, we've got lots of these riders really going to be in action and really using this section of climb. The first place in, I was really reflecting there on the difference in the faces and the styles of Takova and Johnson coming in. They were both showing the effort there, but very different styles as they came into that part of the climb. It's where it kicks, and this is where category 2 are coming now.
Well,
category 2 are on the way in. They're really going into that same section. When the climb kicks, that is when you've got to put the power down. This is when you've got to start accelerating. And then this is when really those first critical shots are fired.
Well, this is the main pack in category 2, and 22 riders were in this group at the last sprint, but there is a rider up the road at the moment, and that is Bergin.
Yep.
Bergin is 8 seconds up the road at the moment. This is the chasing group of 21 riders. It's a massive group going into the base of the Medlin City climb, but we did see 17 riders go into the base of the climb in category 3, and at last check we had 9 riders in that leading group after 1 kilometre of climbing. What is the Medlin City climb going to do to the category 2 pack? Well, they're bringing back Bergin at the moment. She's about to be caught by the bobbing nature of this category 2 pack.
And Bergin, a rider who moved up from category 3 to category 2 when we came out at the end of August into September. So a rider who's moved into category 2. Her last win was when she won in the finals at the end of August, wasn't it? And that was a really strong ride by her. Really pushed on there. End of August, was that not on this climb that Bergin got that win?
Oh,
I'm trying to remember. And I think, I'm not sure, well, it was really, I know Bergin really celebrated that. Can she?
I can tell you the answer to that is yes.
Oh,
Bergin
my
did
goodness.
indeed take the win in
Yes.
category 3 on the Passo Alto. The climb really suits her. That day, it was Bergin from Piccolo from Bryson, from Johnson from Takova. A 10-second gap between the first 3, Bergin, Piccolo and Bryson. And if I remember correctly, Piccolo had gone off the front on the climb.
Yeah.
Bergin and Bryson made the catch, and then Bryson wasn't able to go over the top with Bergin.
It was one of our most exciting finishes I think we've had for a while.
Was good.
It was really, really good. I mean, we get lots of great race finishes. That was definitely one of them. One to have a watch back on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. You can go back and watch whether it's the GCC, where it is the category 3 race finish in the Sunday Race of Women's Finals. That's 25th of August. That seems like a long time ago, August. We're into October. This is our last qualifier before we move into our monthly finals on the Sunday Race Club. 4 race categories up and racing. 24.3k covered for category 4, 23.8k covered for category 3. The leaders in category 3 chasing the leaders in category 4. Both race fields are spread and split up across on the hillside. Category 2 are on the climb. They are at 23.1k. Category 1 leaders, they're not quite there yet. They're at 20.2. They've got to get to 21.9, which means we've got time to dive in and show you just what these riders are racing for at the front of the race. Riders spread out across the course. If our riders have got the ability, the skill, the determination, and the luck to be in that front 5 at the top of the climb, if they can make it count today. In category 4, you can see it's 432 AED from 5th place, right up to 2,160 AED for first. Individual classification counts for our qualifier races. 3 qualifiers this month. This is the last of them. When we move on, it's going to be our finals next week, next Sunday, and that's when that team classification comes into play. So you can see as we move from category 4 to 3, the prizes go up. We've got up to 3,600 AED for first. It's 18,000 AED for that team winning category 3 next week. So our teams need to get themselves together. Get yourselves that strong team. 3 riders. to count out of a possible maximum of 5. Now, we moved up from 4 to 3. When we go from 3 to 2, the prizes go up again. 6,000 AED now for the win. It's 30,000 for the team win next week. A big prize. Remember, though, you've got to be top 5, and that means these riders are racing for that position. Riders moving up and down the categories as their form, their positioning, their power, their pace, and where they end up being in the racing at the end. The power passports are being done by all of our riders right the way up to category 1, the top of the tree, and the biggest prize money. So, team competition next week is 50,000 AED for the win. Today, our riders can win 2,000 AED for 5th, 4,000 AED for 4th, 6,000 AED for 3rd, 8,000 AED for 2nd, and a whopping, humongously, ginormously immense 10,000 AED for 1st place. Now, if our Category 1 riders are going to the finals, they will be able to spend their AED in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi at the finals. Maybe they'll be celebrating a World Championship win. I don't know. We will have to find out. But it might be going there. If not, we have Emma's Exchange, where Emma will tell us somewhere else in the world what 10,000 AED is worth, and maybe more.
Well, on the screen at the moment, Rosalina Barragan, Stephanie Sidlick, those USA flags are flying, and that is where we are going today, to US dollars. Okay, so I am going to give you a little bit of a run though. In category 4, if you were to win today, 2,160 AED, 588 US dollars. Category 3, 3,600 AED, 980 US dollars. 6,000 AED for the win in category 2, 1,633 US dollars. And if you took the win today in category 1, 10,000 AED, 2,722 US dollars.
Just say the category 1 again.
2,722 US dollars.
So just shy of 3,000 US dollars for the win in category 1 today.
Yes.
And 5 times that for the team next week.
Yes, so if you take the win in category 1 as the team at the finale, 50,000 AED, 13,612 US dollars.
A great prize pot, and all part of MyWhoosh becoming a platform that enables riders to really race and make the most of being an esports rider. Don't forget, of course, you've got to be in it to win it. You've got to do the passport. You've got to do your verification, which means that our riders have to verify their ride. Every single rider in this pack that you've got on your screens is checked and verified.
Well, taking a look at the category 1 race, because Mika Soderstrom and Amelia Velt have been dropped from the pack now on the climb. 500 metres into the climb is where the category 1 leading group are. Van Shaw is the next rider in trouble at the moment. She's hanging off the pack. She can see them at the moment 4 seconds ahead, but she is the rider now in the danger zone. Well, the leading pack, it was 15 riders going in, 3 riders off now. So the leading group in category 1, 12 riders strong. Fua, Columbi, Van Hove, Guerra, Sidlick, Eck. Hermansen is in there as well as Kolkowitz, as Kelsey Jade Van Shaw loses contact with the group. Stephanie Sidlick in that green skin suit with the 1 on her back, signifying that she's the leader in the sprint competition in category 1 at the moment. She's at the back of the group as the group continue to push on the climb. Now, on the top right-hand corner of your screen, you can see the gradient of the climb at the moment, and it's a pretty consistent gradient for the Medlin City climb.
A real kick in, a real tough start. The riders now are being selected, the pace being set on the front, shedding riders off the back of this group. The riders at the back have to work. They need to stay in. You've got to be in contention going over the top of this climb. It is possible to chase back if you're in a big group chasing a smaller number of riders. Occasionally, we see riders putting in an immense performance and chasing back as solo riders or as pairs, but very, very difficult to do. We'll keep our eye on that as we go over the top of the Medellin City Climb and we drop into the flat rolling bumpy section. The Medellin City Climb, quick reminder, this climb finishes at 27.4K. 27.4K is the top of this climb. There is still a long way to go for the leaders in Category 3 and the leaders in Category 4. You can see they're separated by 200 metres on the road.
Well, they are indeed, and it's looking like we've got 5 riders in the leading pack in Category 4 and 7 riders in the leading pack in Category 3.
Two small groups, 2 groups on the way through. Looks like Emma's voice just going to get a refresh. Our riders, really important for them to hydrate on the way round. And choosing your moment is really, really key for the riders here. We have got a long, long climb here. This climb is 5.5K long. It's the longer of the 2 climbs. It's the steeper of the 2 climbs. And that means that the riders are under pressure all the way up. You've seen Category 4, small group. Category 3, small group. Guess what's in Category 2? Racing right up at the front, small group. Gonzalez Ruhr, Vittori, Prado, Giovanni, and Giannatti. That is 5 riders in that leading group that I have pulled out so far. I don't think that the rest of the riders got contact. The nearest rider is Norden. I think that is going to be 14 seconds back at the moment. So 5 riders in the front of Category 2. This race already breaking down. And today, Emma, we have seen the smaller groups form earlier in categories 4, 3, 2, and 1. Category 1 are breaking, and it's another small group. This is not big for Category 1 at this stage.
No, Category 1 have gone on to the climb. They're at 23.9 kilometres. So they are around they are around 1,200 metres into the climb. It was 12 riders coming in. We saw it drop down. Now we are looking at a leading group. McCarthy, Bruni, Guerra, Columbi. That looks to me like we've also got another rider in there. We have indeed. We've got Fua in there as well. The question is, that's Bassoni on the back of the group at 1 second. Lisa Hermansen just missing the cut here. So it's looking like we now have riders going away in Category 1 as well.
So the leading group at the moment ahead of Elisa Hermansen. It's 8 seconds at the road to Bassoni. That's the solo rider. Then it's 10 seconds to the group proper. Hermansen at the moment just being distance from that leading group. Hermansen, one of our finalists in the World Championships next Saturday. You can catch up with her in action there. What state she'll be in after for the Sunday Race Club, I'm not so sure. One rider who we know is going to be on the storming form will be Amelia Van Hove, who is chasing Lisa Hermansen. Hermansen just about to come past Nikki Lloyd of the Petit 4 squad. The Category 4 rider getting a grandstand view of the chase here from Hermansen. Hermansen is a rider ideally suited, I think, to the courses like Belgium, to the courses, Telma-Reeb. Short climbs, really, real strength needed, real explosion, aggressive racing. For me, this is probably, and I can't wait to find out, her bête noire, because it is just, all the climb is just at the end.
Well, she's doing a phenomenal ride at the moment, and I think Lisa is very well aware of her strengths and where she is working at getting better. But that Category 1 race now looking like it really is being driven at the front. At the very front of the race, well, Category 4 were leading on the road. 5 riders in Category 4. We've got 5 of them just ahead. This is the leading group in Category 3, and they are about to make the catch.
And this point, coming past the waterfalls, this is where we see the catch regularly between the leaders in categories. The 5-minute gap seemed to be the case that whoever's planned this, it's a genius planning. You come past these waterfalls and the catch is made. Category 3 now going over the top of Category 4. This is a danger moment in Category 4. If you are not on the wheels, you can be in trouble here, because some of the riders will be able to kick to try and go with the Category 3 riders going past. You can see it's fracturing the Category 4 group and behind. Category 2 are almost on them. They're at the waterfall.
They are indeed. So Giovanni and Prado, the two leaders in the Category 2 pack, are indeed not that far behind. They are literally coming around the corner at the bottom as Johnson, Simpkins, Turkova, Vasquez and Barragan take the lead in the race. 5 riders at the front of the Category 3 race, 2 riders just slightly off the pace. The Category 4 pack is there as well, and very, very shortly these leaders in the Category 2 race are going to join them. Instantly, it's Vittori, Giannatti and Gonzalez Rua who are chasing Prado and Giovanni at the moment. That group, well, there's only 5 seconds separating the front from the back.
Gonzalez Rua is a rider you definitely want to put on the back foot before that final sprint and before the flat rolling bumpy section with Suter. Meanwhile, further back down the slopes, you can see the chase coming here. Catherine Fua in pursuit at the moment of the leading group. She was in that pack, just being distanced off the back a little bit at the moment. A rider who will be looking to hone her form for this coming Saturday for the World Championship Finals, the second World Championship Finals for the Fua families this year, because her sister in the paracycling, where Emma's on the microphone for, will Catherine Fua be able to better? I think it was a bronze medal, was it not, Emma, at the World Championships?
In the road race, yes.
Yeah, in the road race. So will we see another Fua UCI World Championship medal? Will it be a rainbow jersey? We'll have to find out. That's going to be on Saturday. Before we get there, we've got the race to finish off. Our riders in Category 1, the leaders, the last group of leaders on the road at the moment, not by much. They are currently at 25.8 kilometres. And McCarthy again, she is on the move.
God, that was a kick.
Mary-Kate McCarthy is a rider who is so aggressive. She really wants to set the pace, to make the racing. This is great training to race. This is great racing as training. This is action all the way up this climb.
It is indeed. And Mel Bruni is the rider who wanted to go too. She kicked hard, but she's not quite closed the gap to McCarthy at the moment. McCarthy just heading round the corner. Guerra and Bruni are in chase at the moment. Columbi now has been distanced from the group, so Mary-Kate McCarthy has unleashed the power on the climb. She is 26.1 kilometres into this 35-kilometre race. Is this the moment she time trials away from the group for the last 9 kilometres of the race? What can Guerra and Bruni do?
And we've got Columbi coming up behind. It's going to be 3 riders chasing 1. We go over the top. Remember, the top of the climb, we just saw Category 3 riders going through the top of the Medellin City climb at 27.4k. These chasing riders in Category 1 know that McCarthy's gone up the road. They can see her. They know that the gap is 7 seconds. They can see the same head-up display that you're seeing on your screens at the moment, complete with that radar view on the left. The stats on the right-hand side, the graded. They know that when they get to 27.4k, they have a chance to chase over the top of the climb. They know that they have got a chance to bring back the solo leader. But if they split on this climb, if they shed a rider, this is the balancing act they're trying to do. Do we shed a rider and have 2 chasers, or just be chasing solo? We might not have a chance of pulling back McCarthy's 8 seconds. If we slow it off a little bit, we'll have more riders. We won't drop anybody, but if we do that, that gap could increase. They've got to calculate that whilst riding, whilst racing at the very fastest pace up this climb. The fast pace up the climb is going to be key. Remember, points awarded for the polka dot skin suits for the climb, points on the way over the top. And in fact, there we go. You can see that Isabel Alza has got the Category 4 polka dot lead. And Sophie Giovanni, the rider on your screens, has got the polka dot skin suit for leading the mountains competition in Category 2.
Well, and this is the Category 2 leaders catching the riders in Category 3 who are leading the race at the moment. And that is the pack. So 7 riders in the leading group in Category 3, now being caught by the 2 leaders in Category 2. So Jermaine Prado, Sophie Giovanni, the 2 leaders of the Category 2 race, now going to the 4 of the pack of 7 in the Category 3 race. This is the transition section on the top of the climb. The pack all coming together. The chasers in the Category 2 race just behind. You can just see them coming around the corner behind this group. But we've now got a leading group of 9 riders, 2 Category 2, 7 Category 3. And at this point in the race, on the transition between these 2 climbs, I think this group are going to stay together.
There we go. I was just making a prediction. I would agree. This section, it's not often that you see people break clear in this section, but if they do, everybody will try and chase them back because they don't want to give any time going on to our final climb. Remember, our final climb, the Bogota climb, is the shorter of the two, 3.5k, 2.9% average gradient. No real steep kicks in it either, although it does vary as we go around those hairpin turns. Mary-Kate McCarthy knows this climb well. She's coming to the top of the Medellin City climb before she goes across that transition area, across the flat, rolling, bumpy, the FRB section as it's known, through the Amazon rainforest sprint into the Bogota climb. Mary-Kate McCarthy surely must set the fastest time up this climb of anybody here today. She's gone through. We can see the chasers. This time gap is going to be critical. 3 riders chasing the lone leader. What can they do about Mary-Kate McCarthy? This is going to be really, really critical. Time gap coming up. 3 chasers underneath the banner.
Well, 3 chasers go underneath the banner. It's Bruni, Guerra and Columbi. They are chasing McCarthy, who is time trialing away from them. So McCarthy saying the fastest time up the Medellin City climb, 13:37, 21 seconds clear of Bruni, Columbi and Guerra. 2 minutes 40 quicker than the fastest time in Category 2 of Sophie Giovanni and Germain Prado. Vittori, Giannatti, Gonzalez, Rua and Alberg at the moment, the riders in the top 10. And I say at the moment because this is a live board. And as we see more of the Category 1 riders coming up and through, the results will repopulate and we will then see that change. Well, Catherine Fua is the next rider in the Category 1 race coming through. She's just gone past Holly Bergin in Category 2. Roberta Bassoni and Stephanie Sidlick are the riders behind Fua. The chase is on here, and now this is about how you get to the finish line in this race and utilise the latter sections of this course. You've got the flat rolling bumpy section, and then you've got the Bogota climb. Now that climb, well, I was going to say 3%, but it's actually 2.9% average gradient. 3.3 kilometres in length. We do not normally, and I say that again, normally see riders really putting in a huge attack and big gaps on that climb because of the ability of the riders. But what we are seeing right now on our screens is a catch possibly about to be made because Serena Vittori and Hannah Giannatti, currently 3rd and 4th in the Category 2 race, have the leading group in sight. And that leading group is made up of Category 3, 7 riders in the leading group, and the 2 riders leading the Category 2 competition. So they have been able, Giannatti and Vittori, through the flat rolling bumpy section, bring back the leading group. Phenomenal racing from these 2 to use that section to come back.
And they've got a gap back to Nottingham of about 25 seconds. So they really have pushed on through here. Will they pay for those efforts? You can just hit the very front of the lead group. It's starting to stretch. It's starting to open out. We are starting to see the pressure being applied to the front of the group. The leaders in Category 2 will know they don't want to get Giannatti. They do not want to have Vittori back onto their heels. Remember, this race finishes at 35k. The race finish itself is technical. That doesn't mean that you've got a whole load of jumps going. Oh, no. Technical means it's hard to see where the finish is. You don't get a long view of it. It's not like you've got a K view. Even on the satellite navigation, the radar view on the left-hand side, because of the twists and turns and because it's constantly rolling backwards and forwards, to see the finishing arch on the radar is difficult enough. You come round a left, a long left, a tighter right, and then quickly round the left, and you are on that finish. If you get your timing wrong, you can lose this race. This is what means that the riders who have raced this regularly get that little bit of advantage. They know what they've got in front of them. A lot of the riders who haven't raced, they'll have to watch the YouTube videos. Don't forget, you can watch as well. You get that heads up, get that information, race, knowing what you've got in front of you. Really, really critical. One very experienced rider, the rider at the front of this race, German Prado, known rider, known winner, a proven regular at the front of the race being chased. Giovanni Takova and Johnson, you can see all working hard. Switch Takova and Johnson round on your screen, so you've got probably the right faces to the names because they both are almost interchangeable in some ways, although they're very different styles of rider. Their performances are so similar, and they are chasing Prado and Giovanni, who are absolutely nailing this at the moment. Giovanni with the faster time up that climb, but Prado, you can never discount German Prado. Such an experienced road racer, an experienced time trial rider, an experienced cycling esports rider. Up against them now, Takova and Johnson. You can see on your screen here, Takova third from the left, far right hand side is Johnson, really working to push on here, looking to try and make sure that they stay in contention. Giovanni and Prado at the moment. Giovanni is sat looking very planted on that bike.
She's
looking super smooth there and tapping a rhythm. Prado really working as well. But we've got category 3 in here, category 2. They are all over the road. This is going to be a fantastic finish. Now, we are going to see 2 arches in front of our riders. We have the climb arch, and then we have the race finish arch. The climb arch finishes at 500 meters to go. Chasing our leaders is Mary Kate McCarthy, who is absolutely tearing up the tarmac.
Well, I'll tell you something. She just knows the pace she can hold and how long she can hold it for. She just knows, how to time trial away and how to utilize the skill set that she has on a bike. She's now 42 seconds clear of Bruni, Guerra and Columbi on this course. Mary Kate McCarthy leading the category 1 race. She's in that yellow cap. Is that going to signify the colour of the jersey she takes on the line today? But Bruni, Columbi and Guerra can do nothing about this woman today because she is just tapping her own rhythm.
Well, she's putting down a big statement. She qualified in 3rd place on the semi-finals into the finals of the World Championships, but she has been indomitable over the last few Sunday race clubs. She has been the rider who has ripped it up, who really has torn up everybody else's chances. However, behind, look at this, Columbi pushing, Bruni pushing, Guerra pushing. They are just starting to fracture. Guerra is having to answer this. Columbi, 7 watts per kilo. We're at 31.7k. We're not in the last 100 meters.
Well, we're not at the moment, but Columbi really wants to push on here. She really wants to see what Bruni and Guerra have got. And she is climbing so strongly. Columbi, she really, really does want to better that 3rd position from last week. She wants that next spot. She wants to take the lead in this group and she wants to show them that she means business. Well, she does indeed on the climb, but the woman up ahead is now 300 meters up the road. McCarthy on the left-hand side of your screen. Well, she's now on your screen and she's now starting to work her way through the back markers there in the category 4 race. The chase is on behind, but on the right-hand side of your screen, this is the head of the race at the moment, and it's Giovanni Prado. Giannatti now 6 seconds back, so Giovanni and Prado have not been caught by Giannatti. They are clear of the chase behind them. The chase behind Hannah Giannatti in category 2, but she's in the bunch. She's in the mix with the leaders in the category 3 race. And at the moment, Takova, Vasquez, Barrigan, Simpkin, Hayden, Johnson. That was the group that we last saw on the road. At the moment, Giovanni and Prado are leading the road as they go into the last 1,000 meters.
So Giovanni with Prado leading this out. That gap is continuing to open back to Giannatti, who's leading the chase group. Right-hand side of your screen. Leaders on the road, left-hand side of your screen. Sophie Giovanni in that polka dot skin suit of the Category 2 points leader in the mountains competition after the Medellin City climb. Remember, at 500 meters to go, the next set of points will be added to that. So it may be that we see a change of jersey wearer on the way through. So we keep an eye on that as we run into our finish. Prado at the moment tapping through, but eases off. Giovanni just going to start to move over the side there, just going to come up on the shoulder. Prado and Giovanni here are so well matched on this climb. Around this left-hand bend will come the polka dots banner. That is the end of this climb. This is the tight left. It's going to be 500 meters to go and hit that banner behind. You can see the distance. It is not huge by any stretch of the imagination to the chasers in Category 2, the leaders in Category 3, and the leaders in Category 3. If I was in there, there are too many riders. This needs a little bit of a shake-up and a sort out early because there is going to be confusion. You've got to remember, Takova is in it there. On the right-hand side, that polka dot skin suit is held by Nicola Takova, the Category 3 rider with the lead in that climb. Now, underneath the banner we go, and it is going to be Giovanni who holds the polka dot skin suit in Category 2 up against Prado. This is a 2-up rider race for the finishing, barring an alien abduction. These are the two riders who are going to go in.
We're not in Area 52, you know, in California. That was last week.
Yeah, we are now on to the upper slopes. Tight right-hand turn. It opens up to the left. Round that left-hand bend will come the finishing banner. This is going to be a 2-up sprint behind Barragan. And it's up against Hyde, up against Vasquez, up against Simkin, up against Takova. That is going to be an absolute sprint finish. So here we go. Two leading riders. Prado opening the gap at 8 watts per kilo. She started to gap Giovanni. This is going to be Prado. This is going to be Prado for the line. German Prado kicks. She answers everything that Giovanni threw at her. When we get to the line, German Prado takes the win on qualifier race number 3 in Category 2. It's going to be a second place for Sophie Giovanni, who takes away the polka dot skin suit of our climb leaders.
Hannah Giannatti is going to come through for third place in that Category 2 race. But the race is on in Category 3. Takova, Vasquez, Barragan, Gonzalez, Rua are all neck and neck at the moment. This is the fight for the win in Category 3. Melissa Simkin has opened up. Simkin's gone clear. Melissa Simkin is going to take the win in Category 3 today from Barragan, Vasquez, Takova and Hyde.
And just coming in through the line behind comes Gonzalez as well. Meanwhile, not all that far behind our riders in Category 3 and Category 2 comes Mary-Kate McCarthy. She started off the race in the yellow jersey of Category 1. She quickly exchanged that for the polka dot skin suit as the leader in the climb competition on the Medellin City climb. She has extended that lead on the Bogota climb as well. Mary-Kate McCarthy at 300 meters to go is clear of the chasing group on the right-hand side. They are chasing, but they have no answer to McCarthy at the moment. 3 chasing riders. McCarthy leading this out at the moment. And at the moment, McCarthy is looking strong. This is how you want to come off a qualifier and head into our finals as the dominant rider.
Well, McCarthy now pushing on. She's going to come around the bend. She's going to see the UCI banner. She's going to move through and take the win today.
So here we go. This is the run for the line. She's got time to celebrate. She's got time to get those arms in the air. Mary-Kate McCarthy, your winner of qualifier race number 3 in Category 1, the fastest time of the day, flying through as a chase behind comes. Now, this is a 3-up run for the line. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places up for grabs. At the moment, Colombi on the right-hand side there with the blue helmet on up against Guerra. Guerra kicking on the left-hand side. Guerra goes hard here at 8 watts per kilo. Has Colombi got an answer? And the answer to that is no. Gabby Guerra at nearly 10 watts per kilo sprints to the line. She's going to take away 2nd place here in Category 1. It's going to be a 3rd place in Category 1 for Celine Colombi. It's going to be Merle Bruni coming through in 4th position in Category 1. And the Category 4 leaders are not all that far behind them.
No, they're not at all. And it is Alzat leading Category 4 at the moment. So phenomenal racing in all of our categories here in Colombia today. And you can see the win taken by Mary-Kate McCarthy, 1 hour, 2 minutes and 6 seconds. And I can tell you that is a quick time. Guerra in second, 33 seconds back. Columbi in third. Bruni in fourth. In category 2, it was Prado from Giovanni. Giannatti, Gonzalez, Rua and Norden round out the top 5 there. In category 3, Melissa Simpkin took the win from Rosalina Barragan. Vasquez, Tokova and Hyde rounding out the top 5 in that category. And I can tell you, category 4 have just come across the line. Tejeros from Alzat from Francis.
Don't forget all of the full results on the MyWhoosh.com website. So MyWhoosh.com/results for all the results. They're live at the moment. They will then be verified and you'll get that tick alongside them. Amazing racing in Sunday Race Club as ever on our women's race in qualifier race number 3 of 3, which means that next week, next Sunday, will be our women's Sunday Race Club finals. Please make sure you join me, Matt Payne, and Emma Martin for that. Before that, though, there's a few things you need to do. One, follow at biking_Emma on Instagram. Give me a follow. It's at MattFixerPayne. More importantly, though, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel to be notified when we go live on MyWhoosh. And make sure, of course, that you listen to the Inside the Ride podcast for the very latest, including where those finals will be, hopefully.
Shall I tell you what else you need to do? You need to head to the UCI website because the final start lists for that race on Saturday are there.
That's uci.ch or uci.org for those. We will be back, not just for Sunday, not just for the men's race which is coming up, but for the World Championships. Please, please, please do make sure you tune in for the 2024 UCI Cycling Esports World Championships powered by MyWhoosh. That is next Saturday. Make sure you listen to Inside the Ride podcast coming up this week for all the latest news on the way into there from MyWhoosh. And of course, make sure you catch up with everybody on the road to MyWhoosh.
Well, but we will see you very, very shortly for the men because they are going to Belgium.
So time for us to grab some rehydration, some food, ready to hit the roads of Belgium. Who will be climbing the bergs? Who is on race form? Who is resting ready for what comes up next weekend? We're going to find out on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. We will see you there. But from Emma and myself, stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.